Hello everyone, hope things are well, hope you are doing well. Lots of Newcastle United news in the last 24 hours. Of course, the big one being the stadium plans. Now, you would have seen this about a million times since yesterday, so I'm not going to go too much into detail about the actual details regarding the stadium. But I'm gonna give you my personal opinion on this. I actually don't like these bubble stadiums now. I think the best one I've seen in world football, or one of the best I've seen in world football, is Bayern Munich Stadium at the Allianz. I mean, that looks unreal on the outside. You can see the light, you can see everything how it works. But now I'm someone that's a very big advocate on St James's Park. Now, St James's Park is such a unique stadium, and if Newcastle was to expand their stadium, let's ask the obvious question straight away: does Newcastle United need to expand St James's Park? Of course it is. Yes. My issue being is that when you look at the new stadium, when you look at a potential image like this one, do we really want St James's Park to be that? Like, for me, it might look nice in person, it might be an unreal stadium person, but I would much rather us have basically a bigger St James's Park, if that makes any sense. So the not the exact same design, but basically the same overlay what St James's Park is now, but just a much bigger version of it. That's exactly how I would want it to be. Now I know on the logistics, for example, when you look at East Stand, it's half the size of the level 7 stand at the Melbourne, or you got the Gallagher end that's way smaller than the Leazes end. And I understand logistically you can't have the same stadium, but at the same time, I don't like these modern stadiums. I see Everton Stadium, for example. Again, you're going to go to a new Everton Stadium next season. It's a nice stadium, modern, it looks good, but is it better than the old Goodison Park? Would the atmosphere be better? Would it still feel the same? Now, change is always something people are going to be against. I understand that. I think anything that changes in life, again, people are never a fan of change. But I don't know if I like these bubble stadiums. I really don't know if I do. To be honest, I probably would need to see more about it. I would need to see how St James's Park would look as a new stadium. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm always a bit sceptical on these new stadiums, to be honest. I was vocal about West Ham Stadium, even Tottenham's new stadium, unreal stadium. Again, though, the atmosphere there is not that good. And Everton Stadium, I'm not keen on next season either. So I guess that's just my opinion on new stadiums. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of these bubble stadiums. I would much rather have a bigger St James's Park if that was possible, or just a new St James's Park. But it still looks like the old St James's Park as much as possible. Again, I know that's not possible with us expanding it, but that's kind of my personal mindset and what I was hoping to maybe expect from the new ground. But that's my personal opinion on it. Do you guys disagree with that? Do you guys agree with that? And we'll start off with that being the question of the day. Are you a fan of these bubble stadiums? Do you feel like this would be the way Newcastle United should be going forward? Yes, 100% to a new stadium, but is that the sort of stadium you would want? Let me know your thoughts down below, because I'm still not sure myself, to be honest. But in terms of this video, Newcastle have actually signed the player, according to social media. I don't believe it. Obviously for the youth squad, it's not for the first team squad, but according to social media, Newcastle United has actually signed someone. So we're going to get through that in this video. We'll start off, of course, with the fact that Callum Wilson and Harvey Barnes are both coming back, according to Eddie Howe, in the next couple of weeks. Potentially possible that Wilson may be on the bench for the Arsenal Cup game. I wouldn't bank on that, knowing Wilson, to be honest, but at least you would expect within the next couple of weeks, both of these players are going to be back. So it's a big period for both of them, to be honest. Now, Wilson's the biggest of the two because obviously he's a lot older now. His injury prone, we all know how bad his injury record is. I think his next spell of games for Newcastle is really big for his career at Newcastle. I feel like if he still wants to be here, he's got to be able to be fit enough to play a few games. Like, I'm not expecting him to score goals at this point, just as long as he's fit enough to actually be able to come on and play. If you can't do that, then what are we doing? Like, what are we actually doing here? So, yeah, I'm quite vocal on Wilson because he just needs to be able to help the team out. Because if he just can't help us out and he goes injured again, it will be a negative factor for Newcastle. We need to be able to keep our players fit. Harvey Barnes is, again, a player that's our second choice winger, £40 million player. I mean, it could maybe be a potential player Newcastle may look to offload if we just can't figure out how to get him into the start 11. I like Harvey Barnes a lot, to be honest. I do like him a lot. I still think it was a weird signing in hindsight because, again, yes, he's our second choice winger on the bench, but why pay all that money in summer that we never planned to start? Obviously, we signed Harvey Barnes at a period where Anthony Gordon wasn't scoring. So Gordon came for a few months, scored once in a meaningless game. So I feel like Newcastle's then kind of went, well, you know what? Let's give Gordon some help. Let's get somebody else in. But the kind of know now that Gordon's an unbelievable player, and we just kind of have Barnes there, so not ideal. And especially when you look at Miggy, the fact he's gone, Murphy's the only right-sided player. To be fair to Eddie Howe, he made some interesting comments in the press conference today, so while talking about that exact topic and talk about the fact that, of course, Miggy's gone, Murphy's our only option on the right. He talks about the fact that Usula can play in multiple positions. Now, I don't know if I've looked too much into this, but I'm assuming he's kind of referring to maybe Usula potentially being an option there if we needed to. And when you look at his goal against Bromley, it does come from the right-hand side. So maybe, even though he played on the left-hand side for Sheffield United, Newcastle might be trying to integrate him to play on the right. So that's an interesting quote from Eddie Howe there. I think you might be potentially looking at playing Usula as a backup option out wide. Is that something you guys agree with? Have I looked too much into that? You know, Eddie Howe's a manager who loves to put players all over the place. So I feel like it might be a bit more to that one, actually. So keep an eye on it. Obviously, in terms of signings now, so there's a couple of what to talk about. Now, there's two, basically. So the first one I want to talk about is the one that Craig Hope has talked about. So this isn't the one we're signing, by the way. This is just one that's being talked about at the minute. So Newcastle hold talks with Malaga winger Antonio Cordodo over pre-contract agreement. 18-year-old deal expires this summer. I don't know much about him. Can't say I've watched much of Malaga this season, to be honest. But this is a sign that Newcastle are basically getting at the end of his contract. So get him on a free in the summer. Someone that will either go into the youth squad or you'd be a bit like a Guran Kyo signing or a Yankuwa Minta signing where you put him out on loan for a couple of seasons and then you try and sell him on for profit or you try and get him in the first team if either of those options work. Can't say I know enough about this kid, to be honest, so not going to talk about him much more. In terms of the kid that I know a little bit more about, this being Barang Yildiz. So this is from a second-tier Turkish side, attacking option. Now, he scored 4 goals in 19 across the Turkish second-tier under-16s. They give you the exact whereabouts there. Again, I don't know. That's all I know about him. This would be a player that would improve Newcastle. I kind of like the fact Newcastle has focused this window on ahead of the future, outgoings ahead of the summer. Of course, our actual first team squad now, just keep an eye on them, making sure we can make it to the summer window. And again, youth squad is thinking ahead of the future. And if I was to be critical to the youth squad, I still feel like there's not really a player in there that has a real possibility of breaking into Newcastle's first team like Lewis Miley did. I think Trevor Sanusi is maybe the closest, but then again, I still think he has a lot more cooking in the oven to do, and obviously that's the point with the youth squad. But again, I'm not fully convinced. So hopefully, with the youth squad over the next year or two, we can continue to build that youth squad and just make it a much better team. But that's about it for this video. New signing coming in, injuries coming back, a new stadium being proposed with the Bubble Stadium. Ooh, I still, you've heard my opinion already, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, match day tomorrow at St James's Park against Fulham. I've got weird vibes towards Fulham as well. Actually, now I've got similar sense of the Bournemouth game. Now Bournemouth are much better than Fulham. Don't get me wrong; they are much better than Fulham. But Fulham smashes at their stadium just like Bournemouth did. And Fulham again, I think as a team this season, people have overlooked. I think Fulham are better than what people suggest. So for them coming to St James's Park, Newcastle just need to play well. Play well, I think it'll be fine. If we don't play at our best, I think it could be similar to the Bournemouth game where Newcastle implode and Fulham just get one over us. So hopefully Newcastle get it right tomorrow. But with the fact that the Arsenal Cup game is so close, again, will one eye be on Arsenal? We need to make sure we don't have that mentality. We need to make sure we take it one game at a time. We need to make sure Arsenal are in trouble on Tuesday. They've got City on Sunday. Huge game for the pair of them. We need to make sure Arsenal are on the real mud on Tuesday. Sunday to Tuesday, that's their turnover. You know what I mean? Or was a Saturday to Tuesday, their turnover. Regardless, that's a big turnover from going from City away to us. So Newcastle, we've got to take advantage out of them. But let me know your thoughts down below. Take care, and we will see you all tomorrow for the match. Come on, the Mags.